Oh, Andy, it is cold here
Yeah.
today. I
Yeah.
feel like I feel definitely like winter for
I hate
sure.
it. I hate it. We were out yesterday, Dave, and it was like 8 o'clock, and it was pitch black. The wind was howling because it gets pretty windy here. It was cold. I hated it. So yeah, thanks, winter. Thanks for nothing.
I want it through January 1st and then it can go away. I mean, I do want the seasons. That's what I didn't like about Florida, and I know some people like, oh, 75 all the time is great. Yeah. And it's not. I mean, like I like the cold, I like the seasons. I love the trees changing. We've talked about that before, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's nice day. So, Andy, we're back. We took a day off on Wednesday. I
Yeah.
think we just needed it. Andy, like we go hard.
We
Like
do
this
go hard.
pod, we are out there all the
Dave,
time.
we are. I mean, Dave, we're hustling all the time, man. I mean, we're working a lot. We're doing a lot of things. The pod's one more, and sometimes schedules get the best of us. So I think
Yeah,
we needed to break it. A little pre-Thanksgiving reprieve. Nothing wrong with
yeah,
that.
yeah. We got to talk about how we're gonna do next week. I mean, but we'll figure that out later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But Andy, I will just say, like, we pat ourselves on the back, like we go hard. So
Hey, yeah. Good job, us. Good job. It's
yeah,
for America.
good
It's
job,
all
us.
for America. It's for our nation, Dave. We do for the people
Yeah, we do for our people and our overseas listeners as well.
and overseas listeners as well. That's right. And we thank you all. We thank you all.
Hey, we talked about Simon last week. Simon posted an awesome link yesterday about the Mavericks,
Yeah.
and it just made me go down the rabbit hole last night. So I pulled some Mavericks, the old Mavericks albums. Oh my God, I wrote on a post. I was like, I'd go to war for that album right there. So, it's just great. So thanks, Simon, for making me go down. And my brother is interesting enough. My twin brother, he turned me on to the '90s country essentials. Andy,
Oh,
like I
really?
I used to be a big country music
Yeah.
fan,
Yeah.
not so much anymore. But he turned me on to the playlist, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" I had so many good, like I was smiling driving home, thinking about
Yeah.
all these songs. Like, this is great. So
I flirted with country music in the 90s again due to some driving issues. There's some songs I can
you were
appreciate.
telling me about the driving issues part,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so that's good. That's good. I mean, hey, nostalgia, baby. Gen X music. The 90s were great. The 80s were good. The noughts were good, but the 90s were something special. So let's see what we're talking about. I think we're talking maybe a little bit about the socials today, talking about posts. I think we're talking a little bit about music today, maybe, depending on where you want to take us. There's a lot
Yeah,
on deck. I don't know what you want to choose. There's so much to
I,
choose from.
I'm just going all over the place.
Let's do it.
Actually, let's just roll with the good
Let's
times
do
on
it.
the music and the socials and some of the stuff. And we got to talk NFL, Andy. Big
Yeah.
game last night,
Yeah.
sticker of a game. But we'll talk about the NFL in our top fives. But Andy, let's go a little bit on music. So again, I had the '90s piece on that. I was thinking too. Is grunge like early '90s grunge alternative, whatever you want to call it? That might be my favorite era of
Yeah.
music. I go back because we're going to talk soundtracks here in a minute, but there were so many like
So much.
I posted on the socials too. It was like Zero by Smashing Pumpkins. That's peak Smashing
Yeah.
Pumpkins.
Yeah.
That's a great fucking song, and it gets me pumped up each time. And then you go like Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam. We had a Pearl Jam thing like
Yeah.
last year. I think we talked about that earlier. Like their 10 album is like
Great.
it I won't listen to anything else Pearl Jam related. That's
Yeah.
just so good. So like what do you think about that kind of stuff, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, Dave, I think I shared before. I've got a '90s playlist that, like, if I don't know what else to listen to, I'll put it on. It's like 18 hours of '90s jam, and a lot of it is our grunge sounds. Man, I love that stuff, and you can throw on Alice in Chains, you can
Oh
throw on
yeah.
Stone Temple Pilots, right? But beyond that, sort of like stuff that wasn't quite maybe grunge, but sort of in that alternative, back in DC's WHFS style music, and you've got from the Screaming Trees to Veruca Salt. You've got there's so
Yeah.
much like just to get into and enjoy. Like I can put that thing on, and just go down the road of give me some Nirvana, give me some. I mean, it was just awesome. It was just such a change, following sort of the confusing late 80s, glam rock, kind of stale, like nothing was really happening. And then, again, I think that was before Nirvana came out and just like, what is happening right now? And it was awesome. So yeah, I mean, if you grew up in the 90s, like you have to love grunge. I love seeing now, college kids walking around with a Nirvana shirt on. It's like, I see you. Good kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, it is quite. I mean, you even go like, where were you at, like with Veruca Salt and or like Fiona Apple, Andy?
Yeah, yeah. So Fiona Apple's she's fun. It's hard for me to
Yeah,
listen to her for too long because like you start
yeah,
like
yeah.
okay, I'm gonna go insane. But I mean like when when Criminal came out, I mean like
Oh,
oh my gosh, like it was like I mean she was incredible. But I love strong female vocals. You know what I mean? And even today, like I mean some of it's more poppy, some of it's more rock, but like strong female vocals are awesome. And there's some good ones in the night. You go back to Alanis Morissette, right? I mean, right, there's just so much.
you know what was a key signature on some of those? So many of those bands had that first album that was like 1 through 10 was like awesome.
Yeah.
Then they petered off. Like I will again. I Pearl Jam, their first album and a half were really good. I know they've had a long career, but I won't go any past those first two albums. And I think a lot of that happened with it as a key thing. So, Andy, where are you at with soundtracks, like movie soundtracks and such?
Yeah, so I've enjoyed movies. I've enjoyed older stuff. You know, as a kid, I remember having like tapes and even LPs of like some of the music that was for me. I was pretty young. You know, you go back to like albums that like featured the '60s. You know, as things like Good Morning Vietnam. You know, I love that.
Oh yeah.
There were very I would say feminine soundtracks that I heard a lot and enjoyed. You know, things even like Dirty Dancing, which had a really big soundtrack. You know, when we were growing up. But there's a few. You know, you asked me this, and I was thinking, I was like, which ones really popped out? And I had a list. I mean, I can go through it, Dave, or however you want to do, but
Yeah.
I made a list of like some that I really enjoyed.
We're talking about this because Wicked is coming out this weekend.
Yeah.
It's going to be a huge movie. It's going to blow things up. But the soundtrack there is what a lot of people talk about. They love the music. So go with yours, Andy. Where you got? And I got a couple I want to share too.
Okay. I mentioned a couple there already. I'd say, you know, just honorable mentions as far as just like single songs that were amazing too. Obviously, the Rocky movies had some great songs, right? From the Rocky theme song to Living in America. The Superman theme song was great. But like as far as complete albums, my honorable mention goes to Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Dave, I love that movie.
You love the movie.
I had that tape on repeat, like, I mean, so many times. Just a great series of late 70s and very early 80s rock and roll, right from the Go-Go's to Joe Walsh. I mean, there's so much Oingo Boingo. I mean, there's just so much in there, Dave. So that's more of my honorable mention. But then going through my, like from three to one, right? I think one that a lot of people love that's a lot newer is the original Guardians of the Galaxy album. And like that had a lot of fun rock and roll on it too. And it kind of took us to the past. You know, it was music that he theoretically grew up with, right? But everything from from Marvin Gaye, right, to the Jackson Five, it's just like songs that a lot of us knew and really appreciated. So that's my number three, right? That movie came out in 2014. Number two, Dave, talking about sort of like our 90s sounds. This was one that came out in 92 that I think a lot of people really jumped onto with the Singles soundtrack. You remember the movie Singles?
Oh, you stole it from me, Andy. But go, yes,
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
Dave, Wood from Alice in Chains, one of the greatest
Oh,
Alice in Chains songs, right from their album Dirt. You've got some great Eddie Vedder vocals. You've got Chris Cornell, may he rest in peace, former lead singer for Soundgarden and Audio Slave. I mean, you keep going down that list. You've got some older stuff in there. You've got some Jimi Hendrix again, not the. You got Billy Corgan and the Smashing Pumpkins in there. I mean, just so much. You know, we just mentioned some of these bands. Like it was just so rich and strong. So that's my number two. For my number one, Dave, this was tricky. I was trying to think like what is it? And if you recall the movie Dazed and Confused, like
oh yeah.
that was some great 70s rock and
Ear-
roll, right? I mean,
Early Matthew McConaughey.
maybe best Matthew McConaughey, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That was a inappropriate but great character. But the
yeah.
soundtrack is just, I mean, it's awesome, top to bottom, from Aerosmith to Alice Cooper, who just put out a new song with the Black Keys, by the way, right? You got songs like Free Ride in there, Low Rider. I mean, it is a top notch. Every song is great album. So that's my three, two, one, and a couple honorable mentions, Dave.
Okay, I like it, Andy, a lot. I like it. So I'm gonna go with mine. I'm gonna go down from three. Andy, I'm gonna talk about Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Pulp Fiction was just an amazing
Yep.
soundtrack.
Yep.
You had a ton of great stuff. Son of a Preacher Man. I think it started out the album
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. There's so many good songs there, Andy, that I just love that Pulp Fiction soundtrack.
100%.
You mentioned singles, Andy. I will again. We'll fight over this one if anybody has a disagreement. But this is like this soundtrack. If you want to talk about grunge alternative, that was it. You
So
had,
good.
Alice in Chains. You had Pearl Jam that did. It wasn't like they used a Pearl Jam song from another thing. They created new ones just for this album.
Yeah.
It was really good there. Andy, I'm gonna go off the rail a little bit for this. My all-time favorite soundtrack is you remember the movie Glory, the Civil War
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
Denzel Washington, Matthew Broderick, um, it's not a singing soundtrack. It's just an orchestra soundtrack. And the music in there, it just stirs your emotions. Like you hear it, you listen to it, especially the latter half of the movie, like the latter half of the soundtrack,
Yeah.
because you're remembering what they're going, like they're trying to take Fort Sumter or the fort at that point, and they're falling, and it, like it just riles me up. It gets me just really emotional. I love that soundtrack. So I know it's a little atypical. You don't get necessarily singing, but it is a good one on that end. So that was fun. You're not going to go see Wicked this weekend though, or are you, Andy?
No, we're still trying to see Venom. We were supposed to do that this week. We didn't get to, so still trying to do that first. I think Wicked. I'll be honest, I probably won't end up seeing it, but if we do, it'll definitely be on streaming.
We saw the play, and again, I like there are people who love it. My wife loves the books, and stuff, and so we'll probably go see it. I'm probably not this weekend because we got family coming in, but I like it. I don't love it, but the diehards really do love it. It's just long, 2 hours and 45 minutes. Let's keep
Yeah,
that tight. And
yeah.
it's only part one, Andy. There's a part two coming out next year. Like, for fuck's sake. So, all right. And then we got Moana next week, Andy. That's going to be a freaking amazing. And Gladiators out this weekend, Andy. So,
Yeah, and that looks fun. That looks fun.
yeah, it
Yeah.
does look fun. Okay, Andy, let's go to the next topic. We're going to hold NFL for last. Andy, we had talked about. I have to do it, Andy. We'll just talk politics here, just for a little bit. The transition planning is going. Look, Trump's moving fast. He's going quick, as expected, Andy. I mean, we didn't specifically call out, but as expected, Matt Gaetz is not going to be the attorney general. He withdrew his.
What?
I know it's weird when you have sexual assaults with minors and paying off people and all this other stuff. That stuff would naturally want to come out. Here's what disgusted me about the whole thing. The House Republicans decided not to release the ethics report.
Yeah.
Like, like, come on, guys. Like, one, you shouldn't have put the guy up in the first place, and two, like, fucking show it, man. Like,
No.
if you want to have your staunch support, what disgusted me about this is all the people on the socials who were talking about, oh, we needed Matt Gaetz to clean out the deep state. Dude, Matt Gaetz himself is a fucking deep state. Like, he's a piece of shit. I mean, like he's got his own fucking things going on, but let him be a representative. He's not going to be the attorney general. I will say, on the other hand, Trump nominated the former Florida attorney general, who is actually litigated in court. Annie, amazing, an
That's
attorney general.
crazy.
It's fucking amazing. But she seems like a pretty decent selection. Look, I can't complain with too many of Trump's nominees. I think some of them have got weird stuff, but everybody does. Everybody has weird shit. What's your thoughts there on the Gates transition and all this other stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like with Gates, like that was everybody was like, "What the hell?" But I think that I'll tell you this, like again, trying to withhold judgment.
I
He's
know you are.
president-elect. He'll do what he wants to do. The Senate will do what they have to do. I will say two thoughts, right? One, with the Senate, this is a really important time for John Thune, the incoming majority leader, and the Senate to decide what they want this relationship with President Trump to be over the next 4 years, right? One option is do the rest of the Republican Party has done, which is roll over, become his bitch, and do whatever he wants them to do. The other is to say, hey, we're the United States Senate, we're the upper chamber. We have to look for our country and for our futures in a post-Trump world, which will eventually come, right? It might be after his fourth term, but it'll eventually come. And are they going to stand up and do it is best for them, for their party, for their futures? And that's going to mean opposing Trump on some of his more reckless actions, right? And they're going to make that decision quickly. I want to see what they do. I think there's an opportunity, and it could be something they take advantage of and stand up, right? In the absence of a strong opposition, because the Democrats are in complete disarray and have no majority anywhere, right? There's a chance for the Senate to assert themselves. I think they might. They might. So let's see that. That's one. Two, what's remarkable, Dave, is the infallibility of Donald Trump, the omniscience of Donald Trump to his diehard supporters. As the Gates announcement came out yesterday on the socials, you had people saying how this was a genius move by Donald Trump and his plan all along.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
It's like he is completely infallible and all-knowing to his diehard supporters. And look, like I mean, I get it. I mean, and there was some level of delusion with Barack Obama, right? That everything he touched was gold, right? With his nicotine tinged fingers, right? Like pe people get crazy, but with Trump, it's another level, right?
Yeah.
Just I mean, there's some just absolute like he's a genius. This is four-dimensional chess he's playing. It's like, look, guys, he's like he nominated a terrible choice. Like it should never have happened. It was embarrassing for him, I think, to throw him out there. And so he's got another option, fine. But this wasn't strategic. This was
Yeah.
this was a fuck up.
He was playing to his loyals, and
Yeah.
Gates was his loyal, and so yeah, fair points. Yeah, it is funny. Yeah, I don't think Trump will win the Nobel Prize like Obama did before he was in office. That was another fucking like if
Yeah.
you want to
It was,
talk about some of the crazy shit, like
yeah.
it goes on both sides, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Because
for sure. For sure.
yeah. So the other piece here, Andy, I saw a news article yesterday. We talked about the Department of Government Efficiency or whatever they're calling it, Doge. I think
Doge,
they're
baby. Yeah.
yeah, Doge. Um, I saw a report that one of the ways that they're going to try to reduce the federal workforce is make them come into the office, Andy. And just make them come into the office 5 days a week. People will quit.
Yeah.
I find this hysterical because having people come into the office is something that people would quit over. Like I'm just not going to do it. What a strange world we've come in 4 years since COVID, Andy.
Yeah.
Uh, that's going to be like the way you can get people to leave a job. So I thought that was interesting to see.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's really going to have like a massive effect. You know what I mean? I know people are going to drop out from a federal career because of that, but hey, we'll see. Like let's see what Doge is. Again, Doge can't do anything. All they can do is offer ideas that then the Congress or the president have to take for action. Let's see. Let's see if the bromance between Donald Trump and his Doge co-leaders continues because it never does with that guy, right? You can only have so
Yeah.
many dickheads in the room at one time for so long. And then let's see if any of the recommendations actually get taken for action. Some might, and there could be goodness in it. I mean, look, I'm for reducing the size of government. I'm for efficiency, and there could be some good that comes out of it. I still have confidence that it will really be a very impressive effort. So we'll see. Again, withholding judgment, David, trying to make me break my vow.
No, I'm no, Andy, I'm supporting you. Like, just fucking take a stand, though. No, just kidding. All right, Andy, we're going to move off politics. I know we got a
All right,
little bit more in this segment, but I don't really want to talk anymore
yeah,
about
let's go.
it.
Let's go.
It's kind of stupid. Let's move to the more important part, Andy. Let's talk NFL football.
There it is.
We had a Monday night game that was downright embarrassing by the Cowboys. Again, getting blown out at home. They've now lost five straight.
It's
They
terrible.
look awful. Um, Only worse is the New York Giants,
Yeah,
who officially benched, and looks like ended the Daniel Jones era in New York after they gave him Andy, they chose between Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, that was probably the beginning of the final piece there.
yeah,
Jones had one good year, so the only saving grace for the Cowboys is that they the Giants are beneath him. This is going to be a rocking Thanksgiving Day game. The Giants and the Cowboys. Andy, I just can't fucking wait. But then last night we had the Steelers after a really impressive win, a
yeah,
gutty win against the Ravens, lay an egg against the Browns last night, who just have looked terrible, but yet
yeah.
somehow managed to win this game in the snow. Andy, is there anything better than snow football?
It's fun. I always remember Dave growing up. I think it was a late '80s game, could have been an early '90s game, but I remember seeing the Browns play with Bernie Kosar, and it was like I think it was a playoff game, and I think the final score was like 3-0 because it was just a whiteout. I mean, it was just snow, a mess everywhere, it was great. There's something really fun. So, I was in Detroit, for the game this last weekend, and it's the first time I've been to an indoor game, and I didn't realize that till I was there. And I'll tell you, like I love the experience, and I love being at Ford Field. I love the fact it was right there in the city, but being inside of a dome, it's not as fun. It's not as fun. Like being outside in the elements. I've been to New Jersey, I've been to Miami, I've been to Baltimore, I've been to Washington. Like I've been to a number of outdoor venues, Cleveland, and with like that wind and that cold or that sun and like it makes it fun. It feels more sports like when you're out there. And so like the snow games are fun. Like they take it's tough, it's miserable. You gotta get through it.
Yeah, yeah. Did you play like in your neighborhood football, like after school or
Oh
something?
yeah. Oh yeah.
The best was when you had the snow games, right? And when it snowed, you like, let's go play
Yeah.
football.
Yeah, you could tackle a little bit harder because you'd fall in the
Yeah,
snow, so a little buffer, and like you're only out there for so long, right? Before you're like red face and you're cold and miserable. But then you get to come inside and be warm. So like it was
yeah.
so fun. It was so fun. Yeah.
All right,
That's
so
how
we got a
that's how my
big.
love for the Lions started, Dave. They were my team. Like as a kid growing up, I was a Detroit Lions, and that's but the Niners and Lions were my teams for no good reason at the time. I didn't even know who the Lions were back in the '80s. Like as far as like the players, like I didn't know them the '80s team, but I was the Lions, and that started this path of glory that we're now on.
Yeah, I chose the Cowboys, Andy, and that's
Sorry.
look that's
Yeah.
turn out for me. 90s glory.
Yeah.
Like we had a 4-year glory window, but really since the mid 80s. Yeah, okay, so let's move on. Andy, where are we going? Let's talk our top five here.
Yeah.
Shake up because we all had the Chiefs. Now they're not undefeated anymore, Andy.
Yeah.
So we can go in a lot of different directions. Where are you going to go with your top five here, Andy?
So it's really hard, and because we're doing this an episode later, usually we do this on Wednesday before the Thursday night game. So we don't have the privilege of having had the Thursday night game, and I was really wrestling with my number five because look, even though the Ravens have a lot of losses now, they are the greatest team with that many losses ever. Like I still am not convinced that they can't beat any team in the NFL if
Yeah,
they
I
don't
know.
screw up so much, right? So I want to put them at five. I was looking at Pittsburgh. I really don't know what to do. There's a bunch of teams here. I'm going to put a team at number five, which I don't have a tremendous amount of confidence in because of their losses have come to good teams, their wins have come over bad teams, but I see them as an upstart, and I'm going to put the LA Chargers in at number
Ooh,
five. Yeah, I think
okay.
they are able to play very good football, and for the last few years, if they've been healthy, they could have been a better team with Harbaugh with his discipline, with his personality and drive, I think they have the potential to be a surprise. I mean, I know they've dropped a game to the Chiefs already. Like I said, they've lost to good teams. I think they might pull it off before the year's over. They might beat the Chiefs. They might get a couple wins they weren't supposed to. They could make it into the playoffs potentially. I think they've got. I'm putting them at number five, Dave. And then I think no shock, where I've got Philly in at number four. But Dave, somebody lost a football game, and the Kansas City Chiefs have an L. I'm putting them at number three. They squeaked by with a lot of wins. They finally got the loss, right, against a good Buffalo Bills team. So they go to three. The Bills go to two. And Dave, after many weeks, after a lifetime of hoping, as almost universally proclaimed in every power ranking, the Detroit Lions are the number one team in the NFL, Dave. And I can say that without sarcasm or delusionment. Like
I
they are the
know.
best team in the NFL. I can't believe it. I posted something yesterday. It's the Drake meme. If you've seen the Drake meme, and it was just talking about like the idea that the Lions are this good. The Lions fans can walk around with their heads up every single Monday. Like it is unbelievable. So that's my top five, Dave.
That's a good one. We're going to have a lot of very similar ones because again, we're here at this part of the season right now, Andy. I mean, I
Yeah,
think it's very clear where things were. I think we were all very nervous about the Chiefs just because they were winning games that are really like even that week one game,
yeah,
foot on the line, the Ravens game that was disallowed and stuff. They had the block field goal against the Broncos who should have won. There's a lot of just so many the even the game against Tampa Bay so close so it was just a matter of time and I'm gonna be with you where I put them in the rankings too. So let's go like Andy, the Chargers and the Ravens, you talked about them for number five. They play this week. It's gonna be Harbaugh versus
yeah,
Harbaugh. It's
yeah,
gonna be a really good one. I am gonna stick with the Ravens at five.
yeah.
I
I'm with
this
you.
they just make too many mistakes. They
Yeah,
need to clean up some of their stuff, but I don't like in a head-to-head against most of these teams. I think I feel like they're the better team. Now,
yeah,
whether the game plays out that way, that's what they need to clean up. Justin Tucker can't miss field goals anymore. I mean, it is just one of those things that they have to start cleaning. They have too many penalties and such, but we'll go there. Andy, I'm going to go with number four. I'm going to stick with you. Eagles at number four. Three, I'm going with Chiefs. Same. So our top four are going to be the same.
yeah,
Chiefs at number three. Look, I, I don't have look with Patrick Mahomes being the quarterback. They're better than these little. They're always going to have a chance,
yeah,
and you can't ever count them out. But I just don't feel good about them in a lot of places. I wouldn't be surprised on a lot of levels if they keep losing, if they lose some more. But then Buffalo, Andy, really impressive win, gutty win for them to overcome the Chiefs. And then, of course, I think your Lions, and nothing more needs to be said on that front. They look awesome. They have a good game coming up this weekend.
yeah.
So we'll see how that continues to play out, but they just look really strong right now. What are you doing for your bottom team, Andy?
It's the Giants, Dave. And I
Okay.
said the Carolina Giants game was going to decide who's the worst. The
Yeah.
Giants are the worst. Like and the Daniel Jones benching was long overdue. I got to see him live. I think I mentioned this before. Maybe 3 years ago now, we saw them in New York, and like he ran left off tackle, like I don't know how many times, got a few yards. That's the only thing he could do the entire game. I mean, he was completely unimpressive. Look, it's not personal, right? We've talked about this before, Dave. Football hate, football disgust is unique and it's allowable, right? Because no doubt, like he's a top performing athlete. He's in the NFL. He's been a starting quarterback. Like no disrespect to the talented young man, but he's not an NFL level quarterback. He's just not. The Ivy League Duke experiment is a bust. Don't do it, GMs. Don't roll those dice. There's a reason that he was playing at Duke and not at Oklahoma, right? Don't be that guy, right? Daniel Jones, you've done well. Enjoy your riches. Have a good career doing whatever else you're going to do. But the experiment is a failure. It shouldn't happen. The Giants are the worst in the NFL, largely because they didn't invest in a line. They didn't invest in their running back, and they're
They
paying
didn't
for it.
invest in the line. They invested in the wrong places.
Yeah,
They paid him $40 million a year,
yeah,
Andy.
yeah. It was just piss poor, piss poor.
Fucking stupid. Okay, I agree with everything you said there, but I'm sorry the Cowboys are the worst team. They just they're this is downright fucking embarrassing. They have never been less relevant in
Yeah,
the NFL than they are now.
yeah.
And they have big name players, Andy, big name players that all fucking suck. Micah Parsons right now is the only one who's performing on that team. And I'm just sorry, but and they're gonna have to pay him too, Andy. So they're gonna be stuck to Dak, CeeDee Lamb, and
He's going to
Micah
be an
Parsons.
Eagle, Dave. Micah Parsons is going to be a Philadelphia Eagle next season.
Look, at this point, I like if you were to say where's the big over the next 5 years, who's got the biggest chance of success? I mean, you're not going to say it's the Cowboys. I
No,
mean,
no.
uh, that would be fucking piss me off. So, okay, all right, Andy, let's wrap up. We did kind of go a little bit longer, but we're making up for Wednesday. So, but we'll be on the pod on Monday. Andy and I still have to talk about how we're going to do the rest of the week. We might get us a surprise in there, here and there. So whatever. But we will be back. Hope you all enjoy your weekends. Enjoy the cooler weather, Andy. And get out there and watch some movies this weekend. Help the community. So
Hey, speaking of cooler weather, when I dial in Monday morning, I'll be dialing in from Vancouver, Canada. So I'm going to be cold. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully I'll be warm in a hotel room. But I'm excited to head out there and see the Canadian West Coast. So I'm looking forward to it.
I hope they have coffee for you, Andy. So
Yeah, they damn well better. They damn well better. Don't leave me with some maple syrup in my room and not any coffee. I'll be pissed.
it's going to be really early for you when we pod, Andy. That's going to be
Yeah,
tough.
yeah. It's yeah. I
Maybe we
hate
can
going to
do
the West Coast to be honest, but
it.
yeah.
Maybe we can do it later. All right, Andy. With that, I will catch up with you Monday from Canada.